Good morning, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Urfspace Live, the most professional show on the internet, with me, your host, Chuck Whelan. And I hope you all had a good week. I'm going to introduce my co-host in a minute after I have my monologue. They may interrupt me. Anyway. Oh, hello. That was nice to see you. Yes, we're waiting in the wings. I've got Amber Greenlee and Dale Sipley are going to be here today. And the show's produced by my son, Charles Jr. And, we're going to do some drawing today and talk about the issues of the day. Amber and I were just having a debate. Maybe I'll bring Amber on because we were just having a little discussion about tending the garden. Hello, Amber.
Okay, so Native Americans believed we were stewards of the land. Okay,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Believe we were masters of it. That's a Western idea that we were masters of the land. Western ideas believe that we see the chaos of nature and we need to order it, right? But it's a Native idea that the chaos of nature is the natural way of nature, and it's not so much as ordering it as we live in balance with it in its chaotic
yes.
state.
I think we're saying the same thing.
I think we are.
Extremes. There's two extremes. There's two extremes. There's clear cutting the environment.
Yeah.
And building concrete, all right, when we don't want that. The other extreme is like you do absolutely nothing and you just sort of go around like an animal.
but that's just it. We live in a world between those extremes.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be people in the middle who are like, well, okay, I'm going to clear cut this land so I can have cattle. Right. And I'm feeding people. And so it's not for a bad reason because I'm feeding people. Right. But they're still clear cutting the forest.
Then you're getting into industrialized farming. I think the problem is when we get to the age of industrialization. I mean, some of the problems, there were many problems before the age of industrialization, but industrialization's come along in relatively recent times, and it's caused a lot of problems. There's also more of it. We're more successful. That's the trouble. Is we're more like the environment's got less good at killing us. It used to be much better at killing us.
Pine Fox says hello, by the way. Yeah, Pine Fox says hello, by the way.
Hello, Pine Fox. I think that
Pine Fox is that an environmental nickname?
I think the illusion of stealth and sentience,
or are they like a particularly horny engineer?
Yeah. I know.
So Dale, hello. Here's Dale Sipley, everybody.
So, what's your opinion, Dale?
It all comes down. It all comes down to the single cell, and single cells have evolved into more complex forms in order to survive. And the illusion of sentience and self, that's just something that a group of cells evolved to survive. And all of the stuff that is going on that we think is important, it all comes down to whether or not those cells survive. And cells have no problem in eating other cells.
That's good. I like being a program. Yes, we're cells and programs. Yes, okay, but you evolve into like Jabba the Hutt, or you could evolve into like Mystic Deadpool. We watched Deadpool and Wolverine last night, which was pretty good, as I expected. I think even Tina quite enjoyed it.
I think we're doing pretty good, Ollie. He's asking how everyone's doing.
I'm doing horribly.
You're doing horribly? Well, you recently, you have some bad news in your life.
Yeah, I'm doing horribly.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you asked. Right. Okay. If you're going to come on the show and you're going to ask people how they're doing, you have to expect occasionally someone is going to say, "I'm doing horribly," and I'm doing horribly.
Yeah.
I refuse to accept that. That person I demand to cheer them up.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, Dale's friend
I know
Ellen
what it means. I know what it means to be depressed.
Yeah, Dale's friend Ellen is extremely ill and close to the end.
Yeah.
And
it's it's just part of what we were talking about earlier, which is, what do you think about stewards of the land, versus being part of multiple interconnected systems? It's just we are a huge system of cells, and sometimes they go wrong, sometimes they die. That's what happens to all of us. So just, try to be as happy as you can while you're here, while these systems are working. Oh,
I think also it's worth remembering how we evolved.
Says we have a root canal in the morning. Okay.
Yeah. But Ali, tell them how much you paid for your root canal, because you're not in the United States. Ali's in Iran right now, is in Iran right now.
Does Iran have socialized medicine?
I don't think they have socialized medicine, but it's still a lot cheaper.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay, here's the thing though. Iran's a good case in point. I mean, we lived as long time, I think, as wading apes. We lived on the beach. That's why you say, oh, the beach is lovely paradise. Because actually, Sam's friend sort of thinks that maybe we've just been trained to think that by advertisements and stuff. But certainly living in England, though, you sort of dream of going to a nice, hot, sunny beach. And that's good. And we're very comfortable. You can go on the beach, you can catch fish. Like on Survivor, they all go on the beach. Or you can go and you can eat the fruit off the trees. And you can sort of live and forage. And I think we did that for a long time. That's why we're hairless, like dolphins. Like dogs, sort of dog-like mammals, they went in the sea and became dolphins. Maybe they were our dogs. Maybe they went off and they stayed in the sea and they're like, what are you guys doing? Well, we're on the land. We get things on the land. We do that. We can make ourselves a little shelter.
You think
and it was nice climate. And the genome tracing of where we came from out of Africa and then down into the Antipodes. That's the first sort of path of mankind, all around like these nice beaches.
Larry Gonick does bring up in his first volume of History of the Universe the idea that being aquatic is part of humanity's evolution, which is why
we're very aquatic. We love a swimming pool, don't we?
Yeah. And the idea is, if you're running away from predators, do you go up a tree or do you jump in a lake?
Yeah,
bears can swim.
We came down from the trees, so we're quite good. We can go back up in the trees. We can scamper down from the trees. Go.
Bears can climb trees.
Well, that's because they had to. They went after us, and we learned, let's not go in the trees anymore.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And then we learned to gang up on the bears and cooperate. Cooperation, folks.
I don't think that's why we started killing the bears. I think we started killing the bears because we made pointy sticks.
Yes.
Well, we had ideas from one rocks. Like, not only did we somebody invent a sharp stick, they refined it and passed it on and developed it until you get nuclear missiles.
Tina says, hey, love you guys, but you got to figure out how to not talk over each other, pretty please. And I believe she's talking to you, Chuck. She doesn't want to say it outright. She doesn't want to say it outright because she's married to you. She shares a bed with you. But Chuck, you got to let us talk.
Okay, but I'm on my hobby horse that we all lived on the beaches. All right, now I'm going to do show and tell, so I'm going to talk even more.
Wait, do I have to say something like roundup or something if you're doing show and tell?
No, this is just, well, I don't know. You can think up something if you like. But this is just what I've been up to. Here we go. All right.
Oh, cover. Tell us about how you did the cover. What's the process?
All right. So I was working on this a bit here last week. It's going to be the cover for X-Crawl Classics. So it's the process. Well, there's a sketch that I have. I've got some of my other sketches I'll show you in a minute. And then I'm printing it out with my Canon printer, which takes up to this nice watercolor paper that I get.
Too. It's true.
Canson watercolor paper, which is 17 by 13. On often paper 17 by 14, but actually 17 by 13. It's a bit more like A size, I suppose. But it's 13 I can get through my printer as long as I tell the printer it's only 12 and a half. If I tell the printer it's 13, it spazzes out. But it will take the 13 paper and quite happily. So I get a little extra space on the side. So it means I can do it a little taller than I would on another on 1117. Because 1117 is a little thin because they're kind of wider, and that's nice. So I can print that out, and I print it out in a light color, and then I ink over that, and then I just paint onto that. And then when that's done, I sort of scan it in, and I give it a final color tweak. And I don't even know really, to be honest, if what I'm doing there is worth it. But there's little things like this I thought was a little off, so I gave that a little, skewed that straight a little bit, and then just little tweaks here and there just to sort of polish it up a little bit. Sort of like clean up little smudges, little lines in the paper that came in there. Somewhere it's a bit muddy, or where, just adjust the colors a little bit, and then that's the final process. And then it'll be on the cover, inshallah, of X-Crawl Classics softcover rulebook. It'll be going out to stores, and hopefully, I don't know. I heard that Diamond Comics went bankrupt, but I think they're still doing business. So Diamond Comics will be distributing that out, and I think it'll be. I don't know. One of the books I'm working on, the How to Write Adventure modules, which is one that will be going into its 5th printing, and that will be going out to Barnes & Noble apparently, which is exciting. Barnes & Noble also stocked all my What to Doodle series of books I did as well in the past. So anyway, just by the by, apparently they're still functioning. Here's the back cover. And all right, here's my sketch for the back cover that you can see. And this one actually required quite a lot of digital tweaking. So here's my sketch. I don't know how well you can see that. So that sort of built up again in a sort of fairly few layers. So I used the same character off the front. I wanted this little referee character here, and then the idea of a bike. Like a while ago, he wanted 3 goblins on a jet ski for the Kickstarter, but I was like, I think it needs more like a sort of dragon on a jet ski, something a little bigger, because I wanted to have multiple characters, and there was only a little space. But this one, so I thought, well, I'll get him in. I've got 3 goblins on a sort of dirt bike jumping, and so I did that. I had to find like a good reference of the bike to get that angle underneath, and think about the tires. That was a bit of a head scratcher, and those, and then I think digitally I sort of maybe kind of enlarged the front tire a bit, so it was sort of coming a little more towards us. But and then the background, I did a few of the little vignettes in the background, and then I sort of I sort of printed out, like, sort of got the layout of these main characters, and then I sort of printed out, and then I did the background. So again, built it up in a couple of hours. Like, I'm doing another crowd scene. Well, it's not too bad because I'm keeping the crowd sort of fairly light. I want the focus on this, but then I'm going to make sure this sort of pops against the crowd, which is tricky. There's more cheaty ways to do it. I don't know. I didn't go all the way. I probably did quite a lot digitally on this one because some of these sort of white lines and stuff really sort of help it sort of pop out a bit. And I sort of figured out the tire even better, that front tire. And I got the coloration sort of really matched more to the front one. And I don't know. Yeah, the background, I sort of wanted it kind of a little off there, but I was just sort of tweaked a little bit with some colors and sort of cleaned up a little bit. But yeah, it's supposed to be a little more out of focus than this, and and sharpened up some of these figures a lot. So there you go. That was fun. All right, I don't know if I'm going to do this today. What's Amber up to over there?
I'm drawing Caligula.
You're doing Caligula. Okay, Caligula is popping.
We should see what Dale's been doing.
I hesitate to ask. Where? You seen from the new Dune movie? What is that?
No.
Some strange multi-tentacled elephant? An elephant with a tentacle face?
You'll find out. You'll figure it out eventually.
And then they're on a ship on the back.
You'll find out.
I'm pretty sure it's like the next chapter of Dune you're working out there. All right, and I've got a couple of maps to do here. Before I get on to what I'm doing next, I've got some other things to show you. This is my retail roundup.
Okay.
All right,
let me take off Dale's then.
I got a copy of The Art of Segrel. All right, so on Goodman Games, I just got this book the other week, and because I'd sort of seen some stuff, and I wanted to. I've always loved Vincent Segel, who does the Mercenary comics. And I have some of those. This is more of an art book that features some of that art. But he's just amazing. He interestingly, he uses a lot of black and he uses a lot of green. You know, I was always taught don't use black or green. So I'm like, maybe I should be using more black or green. And actually, we had a Goodman Games art call, and there's an artist, Kiko, from Spain, and you know, he was like, oh, he knew what I was talking about, and he's pronounced the name right. I don't say it right. And he said, oh yeah, in the art school there was like 2 Segel's books and everybody always wanted them. And I'm like, yeah, we didn't really like, he's obviously got his own methods, but you know, he would do, well, it came up just naturally in conversation, like, because she was talking about another artist who, you know, painted on paper, which he would do for his comics. He would paint oil on paper and so do the pencil and then do a sort of a matte varnish over the pencil, which he says sort of diluted, but it sort of then preserves the pencil and you can do the oil. So I'm really sort of thinking a little bit about, should I get into some oil? I do have my oil sitting here. I mean, I've had some fun.
Should I get into oil? He says.
There are a number of oil illustrators who work in oil that will do something similar to that, where they'll do a pencil underneath. And sometimes they'll actually do a pencil grisaille, a grayscale rendering, but they're not so much using matte varnish anymore as they're using matte acrylic medium. And that creates the barrier that preserves the paper. And then they'll work oil on that. But if you're going to bother to do something like that, you might as well also underpaint in acrylics and then oil on top of that for the blending.
Oh, that's possible, is it?
Don Mates, he combined, he was a science fiction, well, he is a science fiction book cover illustrator and did a lot of Captain Morgan illustrations. He worked in a combination of acrylics and oils. And then Boris Vallejo, his book covers and advertising work, he would do his grisailles, his tonal studies in usually some sort of burnt umber or maybe some earth greens before he'd work in oils on top of it. So if you're going to start working in oils, you might as well take advantage of what you can with acrylics and then do oils on top of it.
Stephen Russell Black also does the same technique. He's an artist that I follow who has done a couple comic book covers and stuff, but very cool stuff.
Yes. Well, and once again, he had a very nice little chart. Like he said, flesh tones, I just use cadmium orange and then mix it with black and white. And you know, that's where I get my basic flesh tones, but then you can add more colors into the shadows and stuff like that. But you know, he's got a very simple, like really, using quite a lot of black, but he like bone black, which is a more opaque, so I mean less opaque, kind of brownish black. So I guess that makes sort of sense. But
well, it's a warmer black.
Yes, it's sort of warmer. Yes, and it's not like as opposed to like the Mars black, which is sort of very black. All right, so that's a bit of fun and just a funny, you know, interesting thing that was in the air. And I got the DVD for Look Around You, which I don't know if you guys are aware of this show, but it's a show which Peter Safranowicz created. That's like why he's sort of in stuff because of this. And she's in it too. Olivia Colman. It's very funny. It's so good. It's like there's just one season of it. It's like they used to have this show in the 70s or 80s called Tomorrow's World, where they'd look at the sort of products of the future. But this is like in the sort of alternate universe Tomorrow's World. And you know, it really is. It's a quote on the front here. It says, "One of the funniest shows I've ever seen, Matt Groening, creator of The Simpsons." I guess he's leaving room for The Simpsons to be funnier, but I don't know. There's more of The Simpsons, that's for sure. Anyway, that's very good. I got that because I got a multi-region DVD player because Dale was telling me about the benefits of a multi-region DVD player. Now I can watch all my old Carry On films. I also got a copy of Clan the Final, which is out in Denmark. But I'm a bit worried that maybe it doesn't have English subtitles. But all right, I Love Clown. If you haven't seen that, definitely check that out. All right, that's it really. So Amber's busy getting on with the drawing. So there's two things I can do. I can do this map, which that's quite detailed, or there's a background to a map. Now this is my other technique. I might be able to do this because I can do this on the widescreen, but then, well, actually, more horizontal probably works better for this. All right, I'll do the vertical one.
I love how with ancient art we have this idea of everybody wearing togas because they would put statues and like, you know, their art in the best clothes of the day, right? You wanted your statues to look good, right? So it's like the equivalent of putting all of our statues in tuxedos. And then you have the idea that everybody in our time wears tuxedos.
Wait, what? No, I don't know. Is that? I mean, again, this goes back to us sort of being naked on the beach and all that, and then okay, we'll wear some clothes. We just would have like, you know, Mediterranean, like there in Rome, like, you know, I'll just have a little bit of old sheet around me. You know, I didn't really need to properly get dressed. You know, that's all come like, oh, when we moved up north and got cold and wintry. You know, that's where all the trouble starts.
So you think people invented cloth before they put animal furs on themselves?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they had animal furs, but like, who cares? You know, animal fur. I mean, not on the beach. You didn't really need. You didn't when you were naked on the beach. You didn't really need furs.
You need to read more about anthropology. It's really fascinating what
no, I like that Graham Hancock guy.
Found.
I like that Graham Hancock guy.
No.
He doesn't bother reading books.
No, he just makes it up. No, like the woman who made the Cleopatra movie that got bombed and stuff. The woman who made it, right? Her grandmother used to tell her, no matter what people tell you, no matter what the history books say, Cleopatra was black, right? And it's like, no, Cleopatra was, you know, she was Greek.
She was the Ptolemy. She was from the Ptolemies, which was Alexander the Great.
But we have historical records that she was Greek and that, like, she spoke 5 languages. You know, she was olive skinned. She wasn't like, you know, pasty white. She was olive skinned, but she wasn't black. And
yes, at that point, like, Egypt was a sort of Mediterranean power. This is long after the sort of building of the pyramids and everything.
Yeah,
that all happened 3,000 years before it. I mean, well, okay, no, that's
you're right.
She's
you're
around.
Right. You're right. The building of the pyramids was thousands of years before Cleopatra. In fact, under Cleopatra,
3,000 years before. She's more at the time of. Yeah.
Under Cleopatra, she had Egyptian archaeologists, so Egyptologists, right? She created kind of archaeology to say, can you study these pyramids and tell me about them? Under Cleopatra. There were people studying ancient Egypt in ancient Egypt.
So when was Alexander the Great? Because he founded the Ptolemy dynasty that she was a part of. She was
that was like 100, 200 years before. No, she was the same time as Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. She had those two boys fighting against each other because of her beauty. But not just her beauty. She was also very smart. She spoke 5 languages. Egypt was stable under her rule. And, you know, they had some of the best trade of the entire ancient Egyptian, like, recorded age was under her rule. Was because she was like, yes, let's trade with these people. Let's trade with these people. Let's trade with these people. Whereas prior to that, they were very kind of Egypt for Egypt thinking. And they tried to create everything within the borders of Egypt. And it was very hard for Egypt to do that.
She was making Egypt great again.
Well, she was believing in a more global world during the ancient world, and so she was doing things.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing, like flint is very prevalent in the UK, but not very prevalent around the Mediterranean. And so what she was doing is she was importing flint from like Roman settlements in the UK. She was like doing trade with Rome to get flint all the way from the UK into Egypt so that they could build steel like battalions and stuff, so that they could have steel over the bronze that the previous pharaohs had prior to her rule, right? The previous pharaohs said bronze is good enough, and she said, no, we need steel. And the only way that we're going to get steel is with flint. And so,
hence the expression "in like flint."
But
do you think she wanted to make a Stonehenge? Because Stonehenge, well, actually, that's the other thing. It's like Stonehenge. Everyone's like, "Oh, Stonehenge." Stonehenge was built around the same time as the pyramids, and like if you put a Stonehenge next to the pyramids, it's not at all impressive. It's quite tiny, really. I don't know.
Well, but you have to understand that yes, it's built the same time, but this was in an age when like England didn't really communicate with Egypt. So yeah, cool stuff's going on in Egypt, but that's the cool stuff going on in England. Right? Is the fact that yes, they built Stonehenge and we still have no idea what it's for, except for it was some kind of calendar. We don't know exactly what that calendar marked, which dates, aside from equinoxes. And
the solstice and the equinox is clearly
the
marked
solstice and the equinox, but we don't know for
what.
There's
a whole ritual complex there now.
Yeah.
They know that there was a whole ritual complex. They found quite a lot in recent years. They found like a whole lot of attention, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and even though you're trying to downplay the importance of Stonehenge, it is really fascinating that I
live near Stonehenge.
You interrupted me again.
Yeah.
Well, it is really fascinating.
I was disagreeing with you. Said I was trying to downplay it. I live near Stonehenge. I know a lot about Stonehenge. I know a lot about Egypt. Yeah.
You've had your caffeine this morning.
I spent 3 months in Egypt. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is you're trying to downplay the importance of Stonehenge, but it's very important that they had a calendar way back in BC that followed the sun. Okay. And it probably also had markings for constellations that we don't even know about, because the constellations that they followed at that time are different than the ones that we are aware of from Greek and Roman constellations, because it was a totally different society up there. And so they're still piecing together. They know some of the constellations, like the horse, that big chalk horse that's up on the hill.
The Uffington, the White Horse of Uffington. Yeah, yes, my friend lives right near there. Yeah.
Well, that horse has been linked to the dragon constellation in Chinese mythology, and they've identified where the stars would be with that horse, and they went, so the people that lived here that made this chalk horse, they identified the same group of stars as the Chinese did around the same time period, and they saw a horse, whereas the Chinese saw a dragon. Right. And so they've identified some of those constellations. And so they're trying to identify where that horse would have been in the sky in connection to Stonehenge. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on with Stonehenge. Don't discount Stonehenge's coolness.
I wasn't discounting it. I'm just saying that the Egyptians were building like teleportation systems to Orion's belt in the pyramids, and the British people were sticking up a few stones in a field.
At the same time, Mesoamerica probably had as large a society as Egypt. It's just that when we had the Columbian Exchange happen, when we first had European settlers going to North and South America, and we're talking in like the 1400s, not the 1600s. We're talking like really early, right? I forget his name, but he was going all the way down the Amazon River and he saw like golden cities, right? And described all this stuff. And then like 200 years later, people were going down the Amazon River and they're like, this guy's full of shit, right? Well, no. All that society was destroyed because of the Columbian Exchange, because of syphilis and other diseases that boat brought to those people that destroyed these societies that now we're using technology like LiDAR to uncover in the Amazon. It's really fascinating.
Yes, we'll talk. Yes, that LiDAR sounds very fascinating. But just to digress on about syphilis, when I was in Egypt, I learned that most of the camels in Egypt had been imported from Australia because all the camels in Egypt got syphilis, and unfortunately, they got syphilis not from each other but from people. So that's human beings for you. But fortunately, before they all got syphilis, they'd have been exported some out to Australia. I don't know. Maybe that's apocryphal.
It sounds like someone just trying to say hurtful things about people for racist reasons.
Honestly, no one more racist than the Egyptians themselves.
And now you're saying hurtful things for racist reasons.
Well, we were traveling with these two Nubian guys, and the Egyptians wouldn't let them stay in the hotels where we were. And I got very angry and actually refused to stay and blew up at the people and refused to stay in that hotel. But yeah.
Well, I believe the story about the camels because, camels are known for their humping.
But
hey, it's early. It's the best I can do.
Unfortunately, the young men there, they're not allowed any contact with women. And this has got nothing to do with them being Egyptian, because it was a similar guys at boarding school in England.
Well, couldn't they import women from Australia, like the camels?
Yeah.
I've been to Australia. Australia has women.
Yeah, that's not the point.
I thought you said Australia was made up, Dale. How could you both be there and have it be made up? Caught you in a lie. Caught you in a lie, Dale.
You caught me in a lie. Okay. I'll send you a gift.
I better get a Zardoz head.
Oh, that's right. I have to still print you a Zardoz head.
Yeah, you haven't sent me a Zardoz head.
I stopped printing them for a while. I had a problem with the printer that I've been too lazy to figure out. I've been busy working on the gorilla suit. The mask has been extremely time intensive, but
Why don't you 3D print the gorilla suit?
The next gorilla suit I make will have a lot more 3D printing. We talked about that, but we decided I would do it old school and sculpt the mask in monster clay. And it's taken a long time.
That's what the Egyptians were doing.
Yes, the Egyptians were using their time machines and going forward in time into the future to order monster clay off the internet.
Okay, back to Deadpool and Wolverine. So there's a scene when they first arrive in the void. Has everybody seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So the scene they're in the void. They first arrive in the void, and there's a sort of 20th Century Fox sign that's sort of behind them. And I wasn't sure if it was digitally created or if they'd 3D printed it, because it had little lines running through it. And I thought, was that a set piece that was made on a massive 3D printer?
No, it was a set piece. They took pictures next to it and stuff.
Yeah. Did they make it on a massive 3D printer?
I don't know how they made it. They probably, if I were to have made that, things like the dimensions of the front of the sign, I probably would have made with the 3D printer because it would have been easier to print it out than to cut it out. But things like the back of the sign, holding it up and stuff, I would have done with a construction team.
it just had like sort of lines running through it. It looked like a real thing, and it had lines running through it. I thought, oh, did they, maybe they, this is Disney, Fox, maybe they had a massive 3D printer they could use that could and they were just trying it out, like, what can we do with this thing? Because it worked quite well for that. But it's like those lines, I thought, oh, that's a giveaway that it's a 3D printer.
The next big breakthrough that Disney's going to come out with technology-wise, I think, is going to be like a holodeck, because they have invented a floor that you can walk on and stay in the same spot, and you can walk in any direction. And it, based on the direction you're walking, it affects the VR headset that you're wearing. And they have just married this technology to basically like projected walls. Okay, so like you'll be able to walk in a room and have projected walls, but you're really just walking in the same space, right? So you're not moving in a space. It's just projected walls around you. But like when you turn, when you like start walking sideways, if you slide sideways or whatever, like the room adjusts to your movement. Yeah. There's a gosh, I wish I knew his name. There's a Black inventor that's been an Imagineer with Disney for forever, and he just like finished getting the patent on the floor. And so he was showing it at a technology conference a couple months back, but I just saw the video of the floor, right? And he was showing the floor, and he's like, yeah, this is the floor I showed you a couple years ago, but this is the floor with the screens on it. And this is the room with the screens on it. And it's like a freaking holodeck, because the screens are all round. The room's round, right? So there's no corners. So it's just, you're not wearing a headset. You're in the holodeck. Can't touch anything yet. Not yet. Soon.
So yes, it's the next step from the volume that they've making their shows in.
Yes.
Which George Lucas really oh yeah, I mean, it's amazing what he did really for filmmaking. George Lucas, like in terms of like what he did technologically wise for filmmaking. He changed the way films are made.
Yeah. I found out that George Lucas is in a random documentary about nuclear weapons. Like he was just walking down a street in Chicago while they're filming the documentary, and then there's like a random cameo of him walking down the street, realizes he's in the guy's shot, and then walks into a hotel. Yeah.
That's funny.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like totally George Lucas.
Who looks like George Lucas.
No, it's George Lucas. It's definitely George Lucas. There's no look-alike in this case.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm drawing Caligula here.
Good. Have you seen it recently? I
don't know why our Caligula show was the most popular one.
I bought the Caligula Ultimate Cut, and I've yet to watch it.
Oh yeah, well that's why we had the Caligula show before. It's because I had watched it, but I heard there were 2 competing Ultimate Cuts going around. I saw one of them.
God, now I have to buy another one.
I don't think I've ever actually seen Caligula.
Oh, it's great.
Now's the time to see it. I saw it before; it was terrible, and actually, it's much better now. Yes.
No, if you're gonna see it, you gotta see the original in all its glory.
Why should I take mushrooms before I watch it?
No.
Okay.
Probably not.
It's a great date movie.
Depends how kinky you are, I suppose. Yeah.
I highly recommend.
Yeah, under caution.
It was an experimental film, and
I heard it was basically a porno.
Well, they added that. Originally it didn't have all of that, but they fought to make it sell because it was Bob Guccione. But
it's completely bad.
Yeah, kids, you don't.
Certainly the idea of a teenager at school reading it.
Yeah, it was I think it may have been a book by Gore Vidal. But if you want to see Caligula, you want to watch the old.
That's what I'm saying. It was called Gore Vidal's Caligula, but he didn't write the book.
If you want to see a great portrayal of Caligula, watch the old British soap opera miniseries I, Claudius. And so John Hurt plays Caligula. Oh, yeah. He's amazing.
Yeah, John Hurt's amazing, always amazing. I was so cool when he was the war doctor.
Yeah.
And he's the Elephant Man. That movie is very helpful to me.
The Elephant Man? Yeah.
I don't know if you guys seen it, but have you ever seen The Naked Civil Servant?
No, never seen it. Yeah.
That's a classic that he was in. He played Quentin Quisp. Or was it Crit? Yeah, Quisp.
Quentin Quisp. Yes.
One of the stately homos of England. I love that joke.
The stately homos of England. Yes, sure. Yes. Also, he's in this really weird little movie, if you can ever find it anywhere, called All the Little Animals, with young Christian Bale. He's still like a kind of a teenager. And he runs away from an abusive father, Christian Bale, and he meets like John Hurt, who's this kind of weird guy who lives in the woods and looks after and like sort of helps badgers that have been run over by cars and stuff like that. And that it's a brilliant movie. But I mean, almost completely unheard of as far as I'm aware.
I like The Elephant Man. It's probably my favorite David Lynch movie. I find it his most coherent.
Well, yes, all right. It was. I didn't realize this so recently. Apparently, David Lynch was like up for directing Empire Strikes Back. He was George Lucas's first choice, and then he sort of decided not. That's probably Star Wars certainly. I don't know that. Yeah, I mean, because he had enough trouble with Dune, and like I've been watching that Spice Diver edit of Dune. That there is like a. They've recut everything together. It's about 3 hours long, but it's really good. It's much more David Lynchy.
Yeah.
And they've done it because it's sort of evolved a bit over the years. So it's more David Lynchy and it's more closer to the book. So it's really quite impressive. And it really makes that film like a much more significant piece of work. But it's a bit like Stanley Kubrick. He did Spartacus.
Yeah.
I'm Spartacus.
Yeah.
Here's my question, though. Okay, with
Spartacus.
With the movies, the way that they are coming out, do you think? I get it. Do you think they are going to have the guts to do what Herbert did in the book with Dune and make Paul not a savior?
I think they have to already, because they've sort of like with Chani sort of turning away from him. That's sort of important at the end of that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how far they're going to go. I mean, I'm assuming they cast Jason Momoa because they want to do God Emperor of Dune and have him come back as Duncan Idaho. Well, he does come back anyway. I think he already comes back as a clone, doesn't he, in the next one?
Yeah, he comes back as a clone in the next one. Yeah. And then he keeps coming back as a clone, right? And if they do the whole freaking story with Leto becoming a worm, and like living for 500,000 years and realizing that's the only way he's going to see the end of this thing, and then it's like the millionth clone of Duncan Idaho that betrays him and stabs him and is like, this is the only way we will gain freedom, and he's like, yes, this is what I wanted.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I?
Doesn't matter. It's like the more you know about it, the better it is. Because you like all Dune, it's really hard to get your head around it. Until you've got to read it several times to really get familiar with it. And you're like, oh, okay, So, but yeah, that to me that it all pays off, and then after that it goes more bizarre. You know, then the honoured martres start coming in, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to do that.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of like the Bene Gesserit's show that they have going on right now?
Well, I haven't seen it. I don't know. It sounds all right. Yeah.
Well, anything that has Mark Strong in it is worth it.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, Mark Strong.
He's a nice British actor. I'm glad of your loyalty to British actors, but I said, what, really anything that they're in?
Okay,
I've seen him in some shit.
we have a choice: British actors, Canadian actors, Australian actors, or American actors. And yeah, I'll pick British actors every time.
What about Charlize Theron? She's South African.
No, I would rather see an English actress.
What about Lucy Lawless? She's from New Zealand.
Nope.
What about Sophia Loren? She's from Italy.
Nope. See, I grew up in the 70s, that's when Jane Seymour and Jenny Agutter were hot in the movies.
Yeah, Jenny Agutter, I get it. She makes me a bit uncomfortable because my sister looks kind of like Jenny Agutter. So.
Yep.
And yeah, usually guys that go on about Jenny Agutter also fancy my sister.
Yep.
Like her husband, Mike. He really loves Logan's Run. And June. Yeah, he'd probably like June with Jenny Agutter. I liked Jenny Agutter. The only one I really like. Well, I'd like some of her films. Yeah, I do like Logan's Run. I like Walkabout. I like American Werewolf in London is one of my favorites, definitely.
I was at Target trying to find a Super 7 figure for a friend of mine, and there are now American Werewolf in London figures. It's the zombie and the wolf, and they didn't have a Jenny Agutter figure, and I think that's stupid. Yeah. That would be the biggest selling figure.
You could do a whole line of Jenny Agutter figures.
Have her in the nurse outfit.
You could have her in the nurse outfit. You could have her in the schoolgirl outfit from Walkabout. You could have her in Logan's Run outfit.
The whole line.
Or you could have her as a nun that she's in the nun in Call the Midwife now. She plays an aged nun. Just, in case you're still feeling kinky towards her. I don't know. It's hard to get sexy about Call the Midwife. Call the Midwife is one of those shows that sort of puts you off sex.
on that note of like older women that like were dishes in their younger years. So I was streaming the other day and somehow the court jester came up and I was like, yeah, Angela Lansbury's in that. She's hot as shit.
And I don't think I ever saw it. Yeah, okay, so she was a hot young Angela Lansbury. Yeah, I saw her. I've never seen her hot though. Yeah.
Anyway, the guy that I was chatting with, over chat and stuff, was like Angela Lansbury, the old lady from Murder, She Wrote. Ew, and I'm like, she used to be like young. Arcadia Comics. Hi, how are you doing? It's good to talk to you. He's going to be on my show, I want to say in May sometime.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
There is a movie called The Bat with Vincent Price and Agnes Moorehead from Bewitched.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Agnes Moorehead.
Did you say Agnes Moorehead was a hottie?
Oh, my God, yes. That whole movie is about forbidden love. And STDs. They use rabies as a metaphor for STDs. But yeah, there's like a MILF slumber party. I highly recommend The Bat.
A MILF slumber party. Let's see, who else was a dish in their day? Oh, Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball.
Oh yeah, Lucille Ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a big admirer of Lucy. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I mean, like when she first started acting, she did a series of nude photos when she's like 19, 20 years old, that, you know, her hair's done in this little bob and stuff. Very, very nice photos of Lucille Ball.
You know who else? Betty White.
Yes, she was cute. She was cute back in her day.
Betty White.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was cute. She was cute all the way into like the 2020s. She was cute till the end. I don't know. She was like, somehow she was really rocking it, wasn't she, at the end?
Yeah.
The older she got, more people loved her.
Yeah.
She was America's grandma.
But sort of sexy grandma.
I like to think of her as America's aunt.
And funny. I mean, she was also funny, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, who else? Cher is an older lady now, and back in the 70s, she was considered one of the most beautiful women in the world. And you know, Moonstruck and stuff. Like she was at a good point in Moonstruck. She looked very good in that movie.
Well, that's one of those like older woman with the younger guy movies. Yeah,
you know, we could just go down all the Bond girls.
Yeah, but that's an easy list.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, there's a reason why they're Bond girls, right?
Yeah,
it's because they were all sexy.
Broccoli.
Right?
They have a thing for vegetable people.
Yeah, I mean, like Halle Berry was a Bond girl, right? Halle Berry was a Bond girl, and
that was one of the worst Bond movies. That was so disappointing.
But Halle Berry is still a good Bond girl.
She looked good coming out of the water. Okay, yes.
That was a Bond.
That was the only good bit in that movie.
All the other Bond movies, and melted them down, and then freebased them into Bond crack. That was the perfect Bond movie because it was a comedy. If you look at all the other Bond movies, you know, you have Bond movies that are influenced by black exploitation movies. You have Bond movies influenced by Star Wars.
Moonraker. That was good. I like Moonraker.
This last Bond movie was influenced by Bond movies. It was a big parody of itself. And it was so much over people's heads, they just didn't get it.
What are you talking about?
Die Another Day.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
No Time to
You said the last Bond
Die
movie.
Another Day.
You said the last Bond movie.
I'm talking about the last real Bond movie, not the stupid Daniel Craig stuff. Craig
what are we talking about? Which Bond movie?
Are you gatekeeping again, Dale?
Yes, I'm gatekeeping Bond movies, and I'm entitled.
Okay, well, you said the last Bond movie. No Time to Die was the last Bond movie. So
yeah, that's one when he died.
Yes,
he dies.
See, that's the joke in the title. There's no time to die, but now he's going to die.
I may have to see it if he dies.
I always like the soundtracks for Bond movies.
Yeah.
I always like the music. You know, lots of horns, very loud, you know, big, powerful moments, drums.
Oh, yeah, Live and Let Die with Guns N' Roses. Well, they didn't do the original, but Paul McCartney did. But
but Paul McCartney even. But Paul McCartney and Adele, who usually don't write with a lot of horns, they even got into horns when they wrote for Bond movies. You know, it's cool.
Yeah, you can see a video. I saw a video on YouTube where it was all the Bond title sequences back to back. That was quite good. You can see how it evolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we recently watched the first three, but we didn't bother anymore with that. But like by the end of Goldfinger, he's sort of cemented. Like that's you know, Goldfinger's the one that really like. Okay, now he's fully like the sort of James Bond that's you know, like the first two, he's not quite as clear.
Well, wasn't Ian Fleming still involved with the first two?
Probably, yeah, probably. I mean, I think they were all still based on his books at that point. I don't know, but yeah, whether Ian Fleming himself was a bit of a psychopath, we don't know. But he also apparently, like Christopher Reeve, said that Christopher Lee said that James Bond was based on him because Ian Fleming was his cousin, and he was very annoyed, and he wasn't James Bond, but he was happy enough to be Scaramanga. But his cover,
Christopher
if he was
Lee
James Bond.
And Peter Cushing were both in MI7 as part of the British invasion PSYOPs program. The idea of infecting the USA with British pop culture to keep us in NATO. And Christopher Lee, besides creating the Beatles, he was hoping to play James Bond. And MI7 blocked because the idea of having a spy pretending to be an actor act as the character that is based on him was just way too meta. They thought that they would blow his cover. So they would not let Chris Lee play James Bond. And it was only later, as an apology, Roger Moore, who was also part of that, had him in as Scaramanga so that Christopher Lee could symbolically kill himself, James Bond, in the opening of the movie.
And now only anybody knows it was Count Dooku. He was a good Count Dooku.
Christopher Lee's a god.
And of course, the Wicker Man.
Yes.
You did it beautifully.
I convinced my parents to take me to see The Wicker Man. When that movie came out, Christopher Lee was touring the United States, and one of the places he did an interview with was in Oakland on Channel 2 with Bob Wilkins of Creature Features, and this is the early 70s before Star Wars. And he was telling all the Creature Features fans, which I was as a little kid, to go see The Wicker Man because he said it was his best performance to date. So I begged my parents, and they took me. And that was not a movie a kid my age should see.
So,
and is that why they give you a hard time now?
I have a Wicker Man story, kind of similar to that. Canadian TV, it gets both American and British TV. And so in America, we limit sexual stuff, but we have all the violence, right? And British TV, they limit the violence, but they show all the sexual stuff, right? Well, so Canadian TV...
well, more than here, but not compared to like Europeans.
Jonathan Lemon says it's a tribute to Robert Altman.
And
what, the Wicker Man or the Moonraker?
I don't know. But so basically in Canada, they have all the violence and all the sex, but they just mark it, right? This has violence, this has sex, right? So on the kids channel at 3:00 in the afternoon was the Wicker Man.
Yeah.
That's just Canada daily rituals. Yeah.
But it's like they know that teenage boys are coming home from school and they're going to watch the Wicker Man.
Okay, what was it? The current edit of the Wicker Man where they put in all?
No. It was the full-on
hanging on the wall,
full-on nudity of the original 1970s Wicker Man. Like it was the full-on show.
That's the greatest scene in movie history.
No, I think there's some scenes in Caligula that were better.
Mm.
Don't watch it, kids.
Yeah, certainly don't read the book. Unless you like kinky, sexy stuff. Which
watch I, Claudius. I, Claudius, I think, is children's safe. Well, except for a few things. A
bit too much incest in it, really. That's my main problem with the book.
But the reason I remember The Wicker Man is I fell in love with the music from it.
What, that haunting score?
The Wicker Man is more a musical than it is a horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, again, that bit with Brett Eckler and the music. I mean, yeah, the fantastic music. There's bad Magnet, but they were just created really for that. But they made these brilliant songs. Yeah, and it's like a little primer for paganism, really. Like by the end, you just want to be one of the people there, like singing the song. Even though it ends with a nice song where they're burning him.
Yeah, I mean, really, the whole movie is just British wish fulfillment. Yeah, I want to go live on an island with hot, easy chicks and sing songs.
Sing songs and burn policemen.
Yeah, I left that movie thinking, how can I move there?
I wanted to move to Summer Isle too, and they sort of make it sound like it's a real place, but it's not, unfortunately.
But also Zardoz is sort of like that because we're talking about isolated, weird communities. There's elements of The Wicker Man in that wonderful comedy, Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I didn't love Hot Fuzz. I don't know. I read Shaun of the Dead. I didn't think the other two really measured up, to be honest. They were okay. They had their moments. But Shaun of the Dead, they nailed it.
Hot Fuzz has its moments.
Oh,
Ian and I still all the time. Ian and I still all the time go for the greater good. If one of us says like for the greater good, then the other one will just repeat it quietly for the greater good.
Well, that's nice. I mean, have you seen Spaced?
Yes, I've seen all of Spaced.
Yes. Well, Space is brilliant as well.
Yeah. They couldn't get the rights in Space to the Ewok song when he shows her Star Wars for the first time because she's never seen it. And so when you hear the Ewok song, that was the crew trying to do the Ewok song from memory as best they could for like the like 5 seconds that you hear it. When she turns it off and she's crying, she's like, "Oh my gosh, that was a beautiful trilogy," right? And so you hear like the Ewok song for like 5 seconds. They could because they couldn't get a license to it. Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I sort of have a major crush on her. That actress who's what's her name? Oh my god. I can't remember her name right now. But I have a major crush on her. Oh my god. Don't get me started.
No,
she's in a really cute movie with Mitchell and Webb called Magicians, which I really recommend you see that as well. That's like a Mitchell and Webb movie, and it's good. It's really good.
We haven't talked about the East Bay Comic Con at all.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't you guys? Aren't you guys doing that? Didn't you guys do that?
Yes.
Can you talk about it or go to it?
We went to it last Sunday.
Yes. It was a small little con. It was at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Concord. I think the biggest celebrity guest there was Michael Biehn from the movie Aliens and Terminator. Yes. I didn't get his autograph. And then second biggest celebrity was Wonder Robot 2T2 from Captain Cosmic. There was Captain Cosmic there, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it wasn't Bob Wilkins. But it was a fun little con. I mean, Flesk Publications was there, so I bought some books. it was Chuck was there. Our pal Joe Sick was there. It was a good con. And then Lee Hester of Lee's Comics was there. And he suggested that I visit the new location of Flying Colors Comics, which is now across the street from the Crown Plaza. And that's one of the best comic book stores in the Bay Area, I think, now. I mean, it's a pain to get there from Concord, but a pain to go to Concord to go there. But I was impressed by the selection, and they had old Mads for like $3 an issue.
Wait a minute. Hang on a minute.
Yes.
Hang on. Dale's Retail Roundup.
I don't know why you bothered to do that, because that's all the stuff I bought is in the car. I haven't unloaded the car since the convention.
All right.
But Concord's a good place to go if you're a nerd, because they have Flying Colors Comics. They have the Just Train store. They have a good Rasputin's music, where I got another copy of Zardoz. And they have Half Price Books, where I got a copy of Logan's Run, paperback, and a good used bookstore called Berkshire Books. So if you're in the area, it's worth a day going to Concord.
You mean Berkshire Books?
Yeah.
There's no place called Berkshire. Just FYI.
I'm using the American pronunciation.
Berkshire. I don't think Burke would say Berkshire.
Shut up.
I had an English teacher. He would always call everybody a Burke.
But there was some good stuff at the con. I mean, there was a lightsaber dealer. There was the Bat Cave from Santa Rosa came down selling toys. There was a miniature movie poster dealer. There was even people there selling original art. There was at least three originals by Larry Wells, the underground cartoonist, and I picked up one of them.
Ooh.
I know you were selling original art there.
I had original art on display, but I wasn't selling it.
Okay.
Yeah, Dale keeps telling me I should take my art there to display it, and then he comes around and says, "Can I buy it?"
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping, because it's I'm hoping that as the con is coming to a close, you'll drop the price of the stuff.
Well, I'm hopeful. Like, Goodman Games is on such gangbusters. I feel like I've got to hang on to that, because in the future, people will be more interested in it. But that's probably just wishful thinking. My life's based on wishful thinking.
So's mine.
It's either that or top yourself. You've either got to live in a state of delusion, you just kill yourself. You might as well kill yourself now.
I think we should change the subject.
I'm sorry. All right.
Maybe we should play a song.
No, please, God, no.
You don't want to play an Urfspace song?
No, I've heard them all.
I'm going to play a song.
I'm just happily drawing.
There's nothing wrong with playing a song. It's for the audience.
It's for the kids.
So Facebook can send me a copyright notification. I will dispute vociferously.
Stop working on just me so that I could float into the sky.
Hi, Veros Libre. Doing pretty good. I'm drawing Caligula. Chuck is working on a Goodman Games map. Let's see what Dale's working on. Dale's been working in a vacuum over here. So it looks like... Yeah, looks like
it's a meat grinder.
Yeah.
It's a bit pixelated. There you go, that's better. It's devils squeezing humans for a meat grinder.
Yeah.
All for you, Satan.
Yeah, so that's what Dale's working
Satan.
on. That's what Dale's working on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How are you doing? I'm doing good, thank you. I just started again on Blender. Oh, good for you.
Blender. Wow. I could never master Blender.
I feel like I need to bring down the colors on my Caligula. I feel like it's too bright.
Where's your Caligula? Let's bring your Caligula up where we can see it.
Yeah, here, let me put me in the main window. I feel like he's too bright.
Well, that's a very handsome Caligula you've done there.
Well, of course, because I'm basing it off of a statue of the guy, and they always complimented themselves in the statues.
But you've sort of done him a little gruff looking. You like, well, the hairy eyebrows.
It looks like John the Baptist.
Well, I'm basing it off of here, just a sec. I'm basing it off of this Caligula. So,
oh yeah, okay, look at him. Yeah, he was a bit of a thuggy looking there, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm basing it off of that Caligula. And yeah. So
right, but how do you know you haven't done him tagging his horse, so it's hard to know it's Caligula.
Well, I mean, I could do this. I could like.
Yeah, no, you don't have to do that. I was just being silly.
No, but I mean, I could like lower the intensity of the color. Because I already did a black and white layer.
Well, you're doing a sort of green and purple there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. Don't you need to put orange in it?
No. No, I'm doing what is called an analogous color scheme. It is green, purple, and blue.
Oh, I see.
Yes. And so as long as you stay on one side of the color wheel, it looks good.
Okay.
Yeah. And my counter color is actually a skin color. And so that is what's working counter to everything else. And in order to make the skin work with it, I have a lot of purples and pinks in the skin. And so, yeah, that's how you make that work. If you want the color theory side of things.
God, no.
I've just decided to go with the color is highly subjective thing. I think that answers it for me.
I have completely forgotten all my color theory.
Oh, I love color theory. I use it in every page, everything I put together with color. I think about color theory. It's not a scam.
Yes,
it's not a scam.
Yes, it is.
No.
Pantone is a scam, not the whole of color theory.
Yeah, Pantone's a scam. Color theory is not a scam.
Color theory is a scam.
How is it a scam? What are they trying to sell you with color theory?
Okay. Color, as an artist, you put down what works. You put down what looks good.
And color theory.
All these ideas of, analogous color and trinaries and, it's all it's all a scam to sell color.
I tend to agree with Dale. I think because it is highly subjective.
I feel like it's a scam, the color theory. Says Moros Libre, but that's my opinion. What you're saying is you put down color that works, right?
Yeah.
Color theory gives you a shortcut to know what colors will work well together because of the theory behind why they work well together. There's a lot of reading behind why blue and orange work well together.
No, there's people who saw that blue and orange works well together, and then they came up with a theory to explain it. But you don't realize that it works well together until you actually try it, which is why illustrators need to do color studies to work out their palette first.
Okay. If an illustrator is doing a color study for every single drawing to try and figure out their palette first, it's going to slow down the illustrator. It's a lot easier to just grab a wheel and go, okay, I'm going to do an analogous color scheme, but I want to have red as my primary. So let's stick red in the center. Okay, that gives me a red violet. That gives me a red orange to work with. And if I really want to have a highlight color, I can have this forest green on the other side, and that will be great for my shadows. And it will be an analogous color scheme with green shadows as just kind of like a spot color to make the red red.
Okay.
Our producer's been doing some drawing.
Get out the book.
The red doesn't have the same significance as in Europe or the US. But here's the thing. In China, you still see red. And in Europe, you still see red, right? I'm talking about how your eye sees the color. I'm not talking about, quote unquote, the meaning of red in a painting and all of that stuff. That's cultural conjecture. And that meaning shifts from culture to culture. And Morris Libre, you're absolutely right in that. But talking about how your eyes perceive color, how the red, blue, green in the rods of your eyes, and then the cones, the black and white cones in your eyes that determine shade and light, how they play off of each other. They're going to play off of each other the same way, whether you're Chinese or European descent. And so
that
color
when you look at it, you see it
is the same.
That's what you see if you squint. Like, okay, if the light is quite orangey, you'll see that the reflection gets sort of bluey, and when the light is this, you see it just happens.
Yes, and there are thousands of years of people talking and realizing these things and writing them down and sharing the ideas with each other that have built up color theory. There are people that have complicated it with what Morose Libre brought up, which was cultural significance of color. And they say, if you bring in red into this piece, it's going to bring in a lot of passion and power and blah, blah, blah. When if you present that piece in China, it's going to mean, royalty and the imperial impact of the power of China or whatever, because of the color of red. There's people that have complicated it because of that cultural impact, but the ideas behind seeing red and how your eyes see red and how interpret it and how it will pick up other colors that aren't there. Your brain will interpret colors that aren't there to counter that red, to have a distinction between one thing that's red and something that's behind it that's not red. It will make it a greenish color. Your eye will do that on purpose to create that contrast. If you're looking at a red apple, it will try and color behind the apple green. Even if it's a brown or a blue or whatever, it will try and make that green. And it does that because you're focusing on the apple. Right? If you're focusing on the green behind the apple, right? Or if you're focusing on the blue behind the apple and you're focusing on the blue, the red of the apple is going to turn orange because the focus on that blue is going to take out kind of that yellow of the apple, or not it's going to take out red of the apple, and it's going to pick up more of the green in your eyes, and it's going to make it like orange.
But I think what Dale's saying is that you can also, like, the good thing about art is you can just say, oh, fuck it, I'm going to do it pink.
Yeah.
Or just do whatever color you want and just break all the rules. But you sort of, it helps to know the rules, when you to break the rules.
It happens in the reminiscence of an emissive red light, for example. You still get the green image on your eyes, kind of. I don't know if you see what I mean. You're talking about the after image. That when you look at a red light and it burns in your retina, and then you look away and you see the opposite of that color that burned in your eyes. You look at a red light and then you see a green shine in your eyes. That's because the red rods in your eyes have been overstimulated. And so when you look away, the reds are like, blah. And so the other colors, which are like the blues and the greens, those ones aren't as stimulated as the reds. So those ones are activated more than your red are when you look away. And that's why it's a green and blue a streak across your eye rather than a red streak across your eye when it's a red light that creates that streak. Is because of the activation of the red and blue. And so again, if you're focusing on one color, it's going to burn out that color in your eyes. That's why if you're swimming in a pool with a blue liner all day and you look up at the sky's going to look purple because the blue color rods in your eyes are going to be burnt out, and there's going to be more power in the red color rods of your eyes. So when you look up, those red color rods are going to be more activated than the blue ones, which makes the sky look purple. Color theory is fascinating. And for you to say that it's not like worth your time to know, gasp. You're Mr. like Tool. You're Mr. like
you're Mr. Tools
what
rules,
brush
now.
Are you using? And you're throwing a tool out of the box?
I'm just saying that if you look at classic illustrators such as Norman Rockwell,
Yes.
They put the effort in to work out the colors. If you look at
yes, I have several books on Norman
If you look
Rockwell.
at realistic illustrators, you can have all of this color theory, but you have to work out the colors first.
And here's the thing, okay? Most artists do not have the luxury of time that Norman Rockwell had to finish one painting a week for a Saturday Evening Post.
Okay.
Okay, most artists are under tight deadlines to finish like a drawing a day. And so in that case, the color wheel saves you time. And so while you're saying, yes, it's very nice to have to work out different color, versions of, oh, if you're going to work out this drawing, if you're going to work out this illustration, I would love to be able to sit and carve marble. I would love that luxury in my life to be able to sit for 30 years and work on a single piece like Bernini did. But that's not the world we live in art anymore.
I love that. I love his films.
Bernini.
Yeah. Verso Bernini. Life is Beautiful.
Different Bernini.
No, she's talking about the dessert.
Morose Libre says, I see what he means. I feel like you need to do what makes you feel and not overthink it. In music theory, you learn a lot of it to go at the end of by doing jazz and actually appreciate the wrong note there is good things in the color theory too, but it's not supposed to be a strict guide to follow. And I could see that as well, that you're right, that once you know the rules, then you know how to break them, and you know how to break them in ways that it's pleasing to the eye and it's not going to look like mud, right? But you also have people who don't ever learn the rules and they think they're above learning the rules, and they never figure out why it takes them forever to figure out the colors, or they never figure out why their colors always look off, right? And it's because they never learn the color rules, or they think they're above learning the color rules. Everybody needs to learn the rules, and
I have a hard time getting my head around it. I mean, I feel like I have a strong sense of color. Like I know what colors I want to do, but those rules confuse me.
They're not that confusing. It's a circle. It's a goddamn circle.
I know. I have one on my wall right in front of me, but I still don't really get it.
Do you have one that has all of the little triangles and stuff in it? Because it literally points.
No, this one's more simple. I did have one with all the little triangles in it, and I got that little.
Because it literally points you to the
color. I get the color wheel. I sort of understand it, but
it literally points you to the color you want, and then you go, okay, if I'm going to have a triad color scheme, oh gosh, I can use this, this orange and stuff. And then you can see here, they even, the person who designed this did a brilliant job, because they included tonality of adding white or black to this color. So that you can have like a really dark green and a really light, orange with this triad color scheme, and it will work together, right? It helps you just kind of visualize in your head, like if I'm going to have like a light orange cream colored sky, then I can have like a dark green for the silhouettes in front of that sky of like the trees and stuff. And have like blues as like, maybe the flowers catching the light and stuff. And you can work off from there and figure it out. Dale, you're not wrong about working out different color compositions for different pieces, but I feel that most artists do not have that luxury of time anymore. I feel like that is of the old way of art, that is no longer the way that art is done.
Yeah, well, I could point out some illustrators who do.
Are these people that have a spouse working that allow them to be able to art during the day?
I don't know.
You know, or are these like working people that have day jobs and then they also art in the evening? You know, like are we, like, who are we talking about here? Are we talking about people who have
James Gurney?
I mean, yes, but some people do a painting that takes them all year and they sell it for like $100,000. You know.
Yes, yeah, and some people do. You know, but again, that whole year that they are painting that painting, where's their food coming from? Where's their mortgage or rent coming from? How are they paying their bills?
T-shirts sales.
Again, I'm asking serious questions. Okay,
most I don't know. Yeah, artists, I don't know. I mean, I guess you build up to it, don't you?
Most artists who are successful artists have either family money or a spouse that supports them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, art's a luxury. It's higher up on Maslow's hierarchy of human needs.
Yes. Well, and so most artists do not have
art is different now because of photography. Prior to that, there was more of a need for art to record the visual record of things.
Yes.
That has changed since the introduction of photography.
Yeah, that's why now artists do role-playing games.
Can you explain the correlation there? What is the thought process? I really I want to see inside the mind of the dungeon master. How does the fact that photography exists lead to artists doing Dungeons and Dragons?
Because that's a new form of art, like what hasn't been done before. It's like a sort of story. It's interactive. You're like walking in like this map I'm doing. Like the players and the dungeon master are going to look into it, and they're going to walk in the picture, and it's going to goes with the text, but not in the same way as like here's a picture to illustrate the text, because you could take a photograph, but like in the fantasy game, again, it's out of the imagination. You could take a photograph, you could do a sort of digital photograph, and sure, that's fine. That's one way to do it, but you're making it fantasy, so it's not real. So you're doing some manipulation to it somehow. And once you're doing that, whether you're doing it digitally or physically, you're making it, artist process. I'm not against like digital tools in any way. I mean, like even AI, what I'm against in AI is the wholesale copyright theft. I'm definitely against that. But, just as much as a photography is a tool, and then people show, oh, well, you can use that tool creatively and create creative photographs, Or there's your holiday snaps of Uncle Fred. That's a different thing. I could have gone and, learned sketch and draw Uncle Fred on holiday. I mean, there's different, there's different tools, there's different ways of working, there's different effects, and people respond to things differently, but that's very fashionable. Like, okay, Mickey Mouse is fashionable right now. Everybody wants Mickey Mouse on everything, then next minute, Picasso is fashionable. Everybody wants that. But,
Pine Fox
that's going to change.
D&D. Pine Fox says D&D is the art of interactive storytelling.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah, you don't need the art. I mean, you need the map, I suppose, usually. I mean, some sort of, you make a nice book, you make this sort of interactive book. It might be a book just for a solo player to read it, and do it. Or, creating it's sort of it's an immersive, it's the next level of communication. And, not everybody's there yet, but they're getting there.
Can I respond to Charles's question?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Charles, you can't make up things using photography. I mean, you can put people in costumes, you can build props, you can shoot stuff. But for a long time, it was much less expensive to have an illustrator make it up and paint it, rather than build the props, put the costumes together and photograph it, or photograph the elements and put them together as a collage. And so things like Dungeons and Dragons, in order to help sell the game, they realized they needed to illustrate the game. So they hired illustrators to make up images. You've seen the old books. They're drawings. They're spot illustrations done in pen and ink.
Mm-hmm.
So
mostly by the friends.
All these other games, there's a market for illustrators to illustrate the game to help sell the game. And you had people who were illustrators illustrating book covers, like romance novel covers, science fiction book covers, fantasy book covers, because there was no AI. You needed someone who had the ability to draw this stuff and paint it. And so illustration was a job. And even things like the covers of the Saturday Evening Post by Norman Rockwell, even those weren't fantasies. At that time, they got a better image by having Norman Rockwell paint it than they did by posing everybody and photographing it, because they didn't have things like Photoshop where they could make corrections. Amber wants to say something and is raising her finger. I will yield the floor to Amber.
Just adding the note that Norman Rockwell did photograph his models, and he did paint his models, and he did photograph his environments, and he did paint his environments. So he did create reference libraries for all of his paintings, and he learned how to develop his own film so he could do it, relatively quickly for his deadlines.
Right, but that's like an artist reference photo that you might make like that. I mean, you don't need to dress someone in a full toga or whatever. I mean, you can just put them in a sheet to get the idea of the draping. You just, the lighting, they don't need to be super muscly. They're just posed there, and you can make it.
I know. I was just adding a little aside that, he's like, well, they didn't photograph him, but it's like Norman photographed his models. But okay, anyway,
right.
Finish your point.
Yeah, but like to make the
illustrators, even painters like Sir Lawrence Alma-Tadema, when photography was just starting, he experimented with photography for photo references. And there's an argument that the paintings by Vermeer, those were done using photographic tools. I mean, he couldn't take a photograph because that chemical technology didn't exist. But they had boxes, camera obscuras, which was a box with a lens in front of it that you could put in front of a posed scene. The light would go through the lens, and this box, which was dark inside, the image, although the image was upside down, you could trace that onto paper. So a lot of the beginnings of photography were actually artist tools, like the camera obscura, the camera lucidia, to help speed up the art process making. Realistic painting before photography was not this romanticized fine art. These are guys they were paid to make images. Chuck and I went to see, what was his name? Botticelli up at the Legion of Honor. And we saw all of these pre-production studies that he did. He would pose a model, he would draw the model, he would render the model in metal point and some gouache. And that was his reference photo. There was no photography. So for him to have reference to work on a bigger painting later, he had to do these detailed sketches. And Chuck and I noticed in a number of the Botticelli paintings where he was repeating the same image. One of them was, I think, John the Baptist, from painting to painting, because he was using the same reference. And we read about Botticelli's life, and he was in debt. He died a pauper.
Well, he was working on this gigantic search and find painting that he didn't really finish. That's what he spent the last decade doing. Just this big scene with loads and loads of horses and people.
And,
he's probably just I just did a little bit over here.
So its illustration was a different kind of thing when photography and photo retouch wasn't as good. In fact, people like Norman Rockwell and some other people like various cartoonists like Rube Goldberg, they were so well thought of. They were considered celebrities, and they would do liquor advertisements or advertise televisions. Uh, they were kind of rock stars.
Morse Libre says, I feel like art, it's about the brain experience of the person doing the art. That's what matters the most, I think. Doesn't matter what tool you use. AI can be beautiful, but we can't connect with it, at least for now. And then the brain juice, kind of.
Yeah.
Well,
I always think the emotion is what always comes through. Like, the emotion that you're trying to convey. I find that's what comes through. Like, no matter how good or bad it is, like if you're trying to put an emotion, it's actually that's that bit you can do, like, without, it requires like a sort of purity of emotion. That's something for you to work on as an artist. It's like how well can you
art is a business.
You
can make art.
But
you can make art as a hobby, but the question is, are you an artist if you are not supporting yourself doing it? I could do medicine as a hobby, but am I a doctor if I'm not making a living at it?
So I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to talk about Philo.
Okay.
I'm taking over the screen. I have Philo coming up on Tuesday. Steve Troop is going to be my guest artist on Philo. He's a cartoonist, comic book self-publisher, puppeteer, puppet builder. He built Sebastian. That's going to be on twitch.tv/artglitch, which you are probably watching this on, if not on Urfspace. That's going to be Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the 11th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are continuing Philo's Story 3. We have space pirates that are stealing space buffets, and now we have our team dressed up like pirates. And yeah, so I give back the floor.
Oh, awesome. Yes. No, well, yes, we're happy to promote Philo. We love Philo, and yeah, people should tune in. If you like this show, you'll love Philo.
Yeah. We love Philo.
We love Philo. Yeah. Philo's, it's fun. I have people booked into June. Yeah. And so
Robin co-hosts that with you still.
Yes, Robin is still co-hosting that with me, Robin Fisher. And then Chuck is not going to be on this coming Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, Chuck is actually going to be the guest artist on the show.
Oh, yes.
And so,
yes.
Thank you for that conversation.
He's Steve Troop. Yeah, well, the old school webcomic guy. He used to do Melon Pool back in the day. Like, he was doing the science fiction while I was doing a fantasy.
Yep. By Morose Libre, thank you for coming in and stopping in while we were talking about art theory and color theory and illustration
theory
art theory, color theory, illustration, what it's used for, what it means,
the theory of theories.
It's all about the money.
Follow the money.
I don't
always
agree. Like,
follow the money.
A living, okay, or not. You can be like that guy.
Or not.
That movie Carrington with Jonathan Pryce, and he's just written one slim volume of poetry, and he was sort of completely pathetic. Couldn't do anything. He's my hero.
Talking about like I don't know, people with luxury and things like that. We mentioned Christian Bale earlier. He still drives a 1993 Toyota truck.
All right.
Like he doesn't drive Maseratis or big expensive cars or anything like that. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's expensive to keep a 1993 Toyota truck running, but he doesn't have like a fancy car. It's got scratches on it, like the paint's peeling in spots. Like you see him on the side of the road, you don't think it's him because it's a 1993 Toyota truck.
That's
right.
why
Are
he
you giving him a
drives
break, Amber?
because
Yeah.
you don't think it's him. A lot of people will drive cars like that to have what's called stealth wealth.
Yeah, and Keanu Reeves, when he met his current girlfriend, who by the way is a school teacher, when he met his current girlfriend, his motorcycle broke down on the side of the road. And so he was pulled on the side of the road and he was like waiting for AAA or something like that. And so she saw a motorcyclist on the side of the road. It was raining and she pulled over and she was like, "Hey, it's raining. Do you want to wait, in like a nice warm car instead of like out by your motorcycle?" And so, he's wearing a helmet and stuff, and he comes in and she's like, "You can take off your helmet. You don't have to be like, mysterious and everything." So he takes off his helmet and he's expecting to like be recognized and stuff. And she has no idea who he is.
She's never, she doesn't have a TV.
she watches movies and stuff, but she's not like wrapped up in like entertainment. She's a school teacher. She's like, she watches like kids programming and stuff, and so they're just having a conversation and he was treated like a normal person. And he was just like, wow, this girl's like treating me like a normal person. Then when the AAA guy showed up, AAA guy recognized Keanu Reeves. And he freaked out. Yeah, he's freaking out. And he's going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you've been hanging out with Keanu Reeves all this time." And her thing is, who's Keanu Reeves, right? Because she's just oblivious to the fact that it's Keanu Reeves. And so
that guy from Bill and Ted.
Yeah, so she wanted, or he wanted to pay her back. And so he's like, "Let me buy you dinner or something." And so dinner turned into like 2 dinners, turned into 3 dinners, turned into multiple dinners. And well, they're not married yet. No, they've been dating for something like 3 years. And she stayed out of the spotlight for like a year and a half before he took her to an event. And he took her to an event, and then everyone's like, "Who is this woman? Oh my gosh, like she's not a celebrity. Who is this?" And then they wanted to interview her and everything, and she gave an interview with TMZ where she told the story about how she met him and had no idea who he was. And that's where I found out the story, which I think
TMZ, Amber.
Yeah. What? TMZ is one of my like guilty pleasures. It really is.
You're like one of those people on TMZ, aren't you?
It is one of my guilty pleasures, because the thing is those guys are doing what the National Enquirer did in the 80s, right? They are hanging out in bushes. They are paying off like doormen and like valet guys. They are doing
they're doing God's work.
They are doing the hard paparazzi work of celebrity gossip. And
it's a tough job that someone's got to do it. Is that what you're saying?
It's not healthy, but I have a sick fascination with celebrity gossip. I do.
Yeah, how else are you going to know what they're up to? Exactly.
Well, it's like, I find out that Kanye West possibly has a nitrous oxide addiction, and he's like doing meetings with like the mask right here, and he's like, "Let's do this and blah 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 blah. Let's do this and blah 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 blah," like during his meetings, right? And that's like not how you should be running your companies. And
so did TMZ know about P. Diddy?
He moved. Oh, TMZ, yeah, they knew, but they, what can you prove, right? Without
there was a lot of people who knew about Diddy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that knew about Diddy. But with Kanye West, he moved a dentist into his house so that he could have access to nitrous oxide. So a dentist now lives in his home.
That's good. I bet he didn't imagine that job when he went to dental school. He's like, "Oh, fuck, what am I doing in dental school?"
he's had like some issues with his teeth over the years, and he's had like multiple different types of grills and stuff. And it's believed by several people that one of these dentists that worked on his grills got him addicted to nitrous oxide.
Give him the gold diamond teeth.
Yeah, got him addicted to nitrous oxide during the procedures, and was like, oh yeah, I can hook you up. And then, yeah. I mean, it was from TMZ that we learned about the text messages that the doctors had for Matthew Perry, where they said, how much do you think this idiot's going to pay in regards to the ketamine? That was TMZ uncovering that. And that became evidence in the case against those doctors from the Perry family. And so, TMZ, okay, it's really easy to shit on them for the paparazzi work that they do. It's really easy to stomp on them for the paparazzi work that they do. But the point of the matter is people like that find stuff that people don't want you to know about. And there's a reason they don't want you to know about it. And TMZ finds that stuff and says, hey, this is why they don't want you to know about it. It's interesting.
It's called privacy, but at the same time, you do support privacy laws, right?
I think that at some point when you are a public figure, you trade privacy for your celebrity. I honestly believe that. I think that if you want to be a celebrity and you want to be that famous, you trade privacy for that celebrity.
I think I tend to agree with that. But I've spoken to privacy activists who are very adamant that we should all have privacy.
Because the thing is when you're that famous, at that point you're also a role model for young people. There are people looking at you as an example of how to act, or maybe as someone to aspire to be. That role model status. And if you are trying to do awful things in your private life and hide that, and that comes out, then you shouldn't be a role model anymore, should you?
Well, that's a burden I've had to deal with over the years. Like when I interact with you, Amber, and I interact with Charles, I have to wonder, am I setting a good example for America's youth?
All right, you do realize that I'm only 10 years younger than you, right?
Yeah, you are America's youth, as far as we're concerned. But there's another way of looking at it. Like all celebrities, it's just a form of clowning, right? That's it. There's the monkey that clowns about. You're the clown, and just because you're acting the clown doesn't mean that you are the clown. And kids might see the clown and go, "Oh, I want to be a clown," and do all that. And then all celebrity really is just a sort of form of being some sort of a clown.
Yes, but if the clown is grabbing people's asses, pulling people's shirts down,
yes, no, I do. I tend to agree.
Grabbing women's
if they're engaging in sort of criminal behavior.
Yeah, stuff like that. Then you should keep that clown away from your children, right?
Yeah, yes, no, I definitely agree. Society has laws, and
and so TMZ,
freedom, pretty
TMZ holds a camera up to these people and says, hey, these people are saying and doing these things when they think the camera's not on them, and this is how they act, right? For example,
Keanu Reeves having a nice girlfriend, though, isn't it? You see.
But that's just it. It's like Keanu Reeves having a nice girlfriend. Yeah, that was a TMZ breakthrough story. Is look at Keanu Reeves' nice girlfriend and how normal she is.
Oh, give me a break. You're Keanu Reeves. What is the ultimate pickup method? You pretend your motorcycle is broken and you wait for some hot girl to pick you up.
Have you seen his girlfriend? She's not exactly hot. She's normal. Yeah, she's an average-looking woman, and she keeps her hair gray.
She's like a 6.
Yeah, Yeah, Ian says she's
no,
like a 6.
no. We're not going to get in this sexist thing where we're numbering women.
Yeah,
That's
but
wrong.
the thing is she doesn't dye her hair. She wears like non-designer clothing. She wears like Target clothing. She is a school teacher. She is a normal person. She probably helped around him.
How do you know that not like Kanye West, Keanu Reeves isn't dressing her that way?
Super kink.
Yeah, maybe he likes sexy old school teachers.
Because again, TMZ has like, we're going to find out about this woman, and they followed her like to her school where she teaches.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, oh, this is her shopping at like a mall. Like she's a normal person.
How can you believe anything you say? Because these are people who obviously would take a bribe.
By the way, we have 3 minutes.
They'd say whatever they're paid to say, those people on TMZ. They've got no like moral scruples. Yeah, but like in the case of like Kanye West's girlfriend, Bianca, whatever her name was, and stuff like that, he basically said, take it off, and she took it off, and they weren't invited to the Grammys. So there's no seat placement for them, right? There's no seat assignment. There's no camera assignments for them because they weren't scheduled to be there, right? So there's no like, oh, and then we cut to Kanye West's reaction, right? There's no setups for that for the director, right? There's no setup at all. Like if special celebrities show up, like this is where we put them. They don't do that at a place like the Grammys. Okay. So there's no place for him to sit, and there's no cameras that were going to be on him. And he just shows up randomly, and his girlfriend takes off all of her clothes aside from a sheer, you could call it a dress. Right. And then he's like, we got kicked out. It's like, yes, because you never gave them your RSVP so they knew you were showing up. You never showed up to the rehearsals so they knew you were showing up. They never gave you a seating assignment because they had no idea you were showing up. You never told them you were showing up. You never gave them any indication you were showing up. Right? I'm sorry, but that's just bad planning on Kanye West's part. And he's acting like it's some big snub, but it's not. Like, it's just, he just never sent in his RSVP. Like, you're supposed to tell them when you're going to be there so that they can have the cameras on you if you're a big celebrity, so that they can put you up front by the stage, so that when they do the sweep of the cameras, they have that big celebrity there up front by the stage for the reaction shots. Like there's a lot of planning that he would have just messed up by showing up. So it was easier to just kind of say, sorry, Kanye, not this year. You're not nominated for anything.
Amber, he wasn't invited.
I'm starting to have a hard time taking
he was getting an invite. He did send in his
seriously as an architect.
He didn't make anything that year.
Which woman?
The Kanye West's wife. She's an architect from Australia.
Yeah.
She's an Australian architect.
I'm worried that this behavior will, people won't take her seriously as an architect.
No, she married him for the money.
Really?
For love.
She married him for the money and for the fame.
You don't believe
notoriety.
in true love, Amber?
I don't believe Kanye marries for true love.
All right.
I don't believe, because he is like on his 5th marriage.
5th?
Yeah, something like that. Wait, let me look it up. How many times has Kanye West been married?
30 times.
Kanye West been married. Okay. He has been married twice. He was first married to Kim Kardashian from 2014 to 2021 and is currently married to Bianca Censori since 2022. So he's only been married twice.
Yeah,
but here's a rundown of his relationships. Oh, look at this. I'm going to ban you. Ban. You're gone.
That's mean. Why would you?
What?
Oh, because I had cheap viewers.
Bot viewer advertising.
Bot viewers. Yeah.
Cheap viewers. I don't want cheap viewers.
I want
the
viewers.
hard-won viewers.
Oof.
The ones that cost blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh, that's right.
The ones
He
that
was dating Amber Rose for a while.
drained.
So rosy.
Before they'll give you anything. I love our viewers. We have the best viewers.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we are at time. We're a minute over.
Really?
Yep.
It went by very quick this morning. I didn't get a lot done.
I'm gonna check in on Dale's. So who's being put in the meat grinder?
Just people.
Okay, so you're making Soylent Green?
No, I just I'm part of a 40 and Times group, and this is a Facebook group that talks about the magazine 40 and Times, and the cartoonist Hunt Emerson, the amazing cartoonist Hunt Emerson, has a strip in every issue of 40 and Times, and Hunt Emerson has also done a wonderful graphic novel of Dante's Inferno. And so last night I drew a devil because I was getting into an argument with someone online. It turns out the Bible doesn't describe Satan.
No,
and
it doesn't.
There's a number of research articles where people have tried to come up with how did we get this cloven-hooved, goat-legged red being with the pointed tail and the horns. And so I was just in the mood to draw, a scene from hell.
Is a description of Baphomet.
Yeah.
And so that's where we get that description. It's not a description of Satan. There is a description of Lucifer in the Bible as the most beautiful angel.
He is.
And
yeah,
so
but that's relative, what's beautiful, what isn't beautiful.
I love the descriptions of the angels as wheels and eyes and wings. Yes.
I'm starting to see
Christmas
tree
glory,
toppers.
glory. Yeah.
I'm starting to see Christmas tree toppers that are biblically accurate angels.
Yes.
They're horrific. I want to get one of them.
All right. So are we ending here? Are we playing our outro?
Yes. Shall I do that?
Here, I can play the
outro. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. We love you. You're the best viewers, and if you've stayed, you're still here at the end of the show. You're amazing. You're mental fortitude.
All three of you.
Don't see Caligula, see I Claudius.
Yes.
And don't eat people.
Yes. And you
can
go
the guy drawing people being shoved into a meat grinder.
Yes. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube or Twitch or wherever you're watching us. That's a good one too. All right, here's the theme tune.
Here's a theme song for Chuck Whelan Showy. He asked me to write one, but I stole from David Bowie. Here's a theme song. Chuck Whelan is the best. We have lots of hosts, but we're running out of gas. Will you be our guest on? Will you be our guest on? Be on the Chuck Whelan Show. Whoa, 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 whoa.